Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Anupama Radhika Mataji. Really appreciate it. Okay, so today we will be discussing chapter 25 of the fourth canto. So if you are in a position to read, please raise your hand so that I can pick you up accordingly. So it is the description of the characteristics of King Puranjana. Thank you. So thank you, Anupama Radhika Mataji, Kiran Kohli, Padma Mataji. So let's begin with Padma Mataji. If you can kindly read the first 9 verses. Yeah, first 8 verses, please. I will share the screen. Thank you. Padma Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued speaking to Vidura. My dear Vidura, in this way, Lord Shiva instructed the sons of King Barishit. Barishat? Barishat. The sons of the king also worshipped Lord Shiva with great devotion and respect. Finally, Lord Shiva became invisible to the princess. Text 2. All the Pracheta princes simply stood in the water for 10,000 years and recited the prayers given to them by Lord Shiva. Text 3. While the princes were undergoing severe austerities in the water, their father was performing different types of fruitive activities. At this time, the great saint Narada, master and teacher of all spiritual life, became very compassionate upon the king and decided to instruct him about spiritual life. Text 4. Narada Muni asked King Prachina Barishit, my dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these fruitive activities? The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness, but these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activities. Text 5. The king replied, O great soul Narada, my intelligence is entangled in fruitive activities. Therefore, I do not know the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge so that I can get out of the entanglement of fruitive activities. Text 6. Those who are interested only in a so-called dutiful life, namely remaining as a householder entangled by sons and a wife and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life. Text 7. The great saint Narada said, O ruler of the citizens, my dear king, please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion and without mercy in the sacrificial arena. Text 8. All these animals are awaiting your death so that they can avenge the injuries you have inflicted upon them. After you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron horns.
Thank you,
Text
Mataji.
9.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the fourth canto, in the beginning of fourth canto, we discussed the story of Lord Shiva. And the sacrifice performed by a great progenitor called Daksha. And followed by that, we had also discussed the story of Dhruva Maharaj. At the age of who at the age of 5 left the palace and went to forest upon the advice and guidance of Narada, and had the audience of Lord Vishnu. And following on from that, we also discussed the story of King Anga in the same lineage, Dhruva Maharaj lineage. There was King Anga. However, he had a cruel son, King Vana. By churning the body of King Vana, the saints have produced the Prithu Maharaj and his wife. So we also discussed the complete pastime of Prithu Maharaj. So in the lineage of Prithu Maharaj, there is a king named Prachina Barihi, or is also known as Barishat. Prachina Barishat. So he was a pious king, and he married to the daughter of ocean god, and he had begotten 10 children. Collectively, they were known as Prachetas. When they were asked by the king Prachina Barhi or Barishat to get married and beget children, they decided to perform, execute some austerities, so that they can develop some kind of sense control, some control over. So even in our society, sometimes we advise before you get married, stay in the ashram for 3 months, 6 months. You will you acquire some good habits, getting up early. You will, there is a discipline, nice discipline. So they did that, and they met Lord Shiva, who came out of this beautiful reservoir, and he said that he was very pleased, and then chanted a prayer, which is famously known as Rudra Gita. He basically given them a mantra, a prayer, and asked them to simply repeat this prayer. So then these Prachetas, numbered in 10, had entered into this reservoir's water and executed or performed, chanted this prayer for 10,000 years. While they were doing or for undergoing that penance or austerity, so their father, Prachina Barihi, so what is he doing? He's simply engaged in conducting, performing some fruitive activities. So Narada wanted to see, yes, your sons are nicely worshipping the Supreme Lord by entering into this lake. So I just wanted to see what you are doing. So Narada Muni came to Pracheta's father, named Prachina Barisha. And so Narada Muni asked, looking at the king is performing these fruitive activities, sacrifices, back to back. So these fruitive activities, basically, they they are done with an intention to get some material benefit. So in that age was to conduct sacrifices, and in that sacrifices, animals are also killed. If the sacrifice is conducted nicely, according to the Vedic injunctions, and the mantras are chanted by the pure brahmanas, priests, then the animals would immediately attain a higher species of higher form of life, possibly human or other species, higher species of life. But however, if there were some mistakes, if there are any mistakes in conducting such fire sacrifices, so the animals would not be able to attain the higher form of life. So he was conducting too many. He was very much entangled in these fruitative activities. There is a gulf of difference between devotion and conducting fruitative activities. In devotion, your aim is to please the Lord, not get some simple material benefits such as going to heaven and having a good time over there. So the fruitative activities are done with a material, in order to gain some material profit. So Narada Muni wanted to, some or other educate the king, and thereby deliver the king. So he personally went, and he said, you are doing all this, but how can you, simply by performing these fruitative activities, how can you get rid of the misery and gain happiness? It's not possible. It is not at all possible. And in the if you remember, Lord Buddha's incarnation is also that purpose only. Like at a certain point of time, the Brahmanas' houses, they looked like a slaughterhouse. They were performing so many sacrifices in the name of Vedic rituals and killing so many animals. And Lord Buddha came to stop these animal sacrifices. And that's why he preached non-violence. And when Narada said, how can you attain happiness just by conducting these fruitive activities? It's not possible. And then so then immediately king was king took that message, and he said, yes, my intelligence is polluted. I am entangled. I am some or other entangled in these in conducting these fruitative activities. So that's why I don't know the goal of the life. See, these fruitative activities means you remain in this world only, going to higher planets, have good time there, and come back to the earthly planet, and again conduct some fruitative activities. It goes on and goes back. Kama kama labante. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punyam martyalokam vishanti evam traidvarmam anuprapanna kama gata gatam kama kama labante. They simply rotate from the earth to higher planets, enjoy there, and come back. So they don't know the ultimate goal of life. And he said, yes, I'm very much absorbed in these household life. So that's why I don't know the ultimate goal of this human form of life. Please instruct me what I should be doing. My intelligence is polluted. So Then Narada, he says, you have performed so many sacrifices. See, look in the sky. Please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion. You can see in the sacrificial arena, you actually ask your priest to perform these sacrifices. They are there. So Narada, with his mystic potency, he could show all those animals in the sky, all those animals that were killed in the sacrificial arena. Then he could show them all in the sky. And he says, yes, these animals are awaiting your death. He says, what goes around comes around, isn't it? What goes, oh yeah. So karma, every action has got equal and opposite reaction. So they are just awaiting your death, so that they can avenge the injuries that you have inflicted upon them. So after you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron-ons. So Narada, with his mystic power, he could show all the animals, that were sacrificed in the sacrificial arena in the sky. He could show that to the king, and then he decided to tell a story. It's an allegorical story. So this story, actually, it is about King Prachinabarihi himself, but it is an allegorical story. So let's read some sections, some texts of the next section. So 9 till 13, Kiran Kohli Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
In this connection, I wish to narrate an old history connected with the character of king called Puranjana. Please try to hear me with great attention. My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana, who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avijanta, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avijanta.
Avijnata.
Avijnata, sorry.
No, it's okay.
King Puranjana began to search for a suitable place to live, and thus he traveled all over the world. Even after a great deal of traveling, he could not find a place just to his liking. Finally, he became morose and disappointed. King
Go on.
King Puranjana had unlimited desires for sense enjoyment. Consequently, he traveled all over the world to find a place where all his desires could be fulfilled. Unfortunately, he found a feeling of insufficiency everywhere. Once, while wandering in this way, he saw on the southern side of the Himalayas, in a place named Bharatvarsh, a city that had 9 gates all about and was characterized by all auspicious facilities.
Thank you. So, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So Narada Muni decides, he decides to tell a story, allegorical story, and he began narrating this allegorical story. It is actually about the king himself, but he then says that that there is one person, there is one king. So this king's name is Puranjana. This is basically conditioned soul. Puranjana is a conditioned soul, is the king. Yes. So he has a friend named Avijnata, means super soul. We are all conditioned souls. We have a friend, super soul. Avijnata, because we don't really know him. Generally, conditioned soul doesn't know the super soul. So this Puranjana, who is the king, basically a conditioned soul is named as Puranjana. Puranjana. Puram means city, Jana means one who lives in that city. So conditioned soul is known as a Puranjana. So he is a king. Here is mentioned as a king. So he wants to enjoy and fulfill his desires. So that's why he was looking for a place, which is the best place for me to stay and have a good time and fulfill all my desires. He traveled all over the world. Who is this conditioned soul? Yes, all over the world. And then he found one city. And this city is on the southern side of Himalayas, basically the tract of the land in India. So basically he found a city, and this city has got 9 gates. And that means this body is compared to the city, and the conditioned soul is the Puranjana. This body is the city, and which has got the 9 gates. The conditioned soul, leaving the Supreme Lord, wanted to enjoy separately from the Supreme Lord. He looked for a place, and he found this place, this city, this body, entire body is city, which has 9 gates. So we know 9 gates. What are the 9 gates? 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, and anus and genitals. 9 gates city. So, and this city is described like this. Various parts of this body are compared to the aspects of the city. The walls of this city are compared to the skin, or skin is compared to the walls. Parks or comparison with airs. Towers, it has the towers like nose and head, or towers. And eyes are the windows of the city. Through the windows we can see. And the houses are made up of gold, silver, and domes. That means in this body, 3 modes are dominated, and also it is made up of mucus, bile, and air. And the capital of the state is the heart. So market is the gross mind. So like this city description is given from text 14 to 19. 14 to 19, this city has been described. Basically, various parts of the body are compared to the various aspects of this city. So the Puranjana, the conditioned soul, he liked this city, means he liked to enter into this body. So then what did he see there? He found a beautiful girl there in that city. Her name is Puranjani. So who is this Puranjani? Material intelligence is compared to the Puranjani, a beautiful girl. Material intelligence. So conditioned soul is getting married to the material intelligence. So he found this beautiful girl, Puranjani, which is material intelligence. And there is a description of this lady, material intelligence, beautiful lady, in that city. I hope you are able to follow. This is an allegorical story. And this lady, material intelligence, has 10 servants, means 10 senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses. And these 10 servants also had several wives. So that means the desires of each sense are compared to wife. So say for example, eyes, and they wanted to see the beautiful form like that. So eyes had so many desires, as tongue has so many desires, as nose has desire, the skin has desire. So all these desires are compared to the wives of these 10 servants. These 10 servants are 10 senses. And she was protected by the 5-hooded snake. So these 5-hooded snake represents the vital force. There are five pana. There are air that circulates in the body. So she's protected by this 5 life forces, and she's beautiful and young. She has a beautiful nose, beautiful teeth, beautiful forehead, beautiful ears with dazzling earrings. She's dark in complexion. What does it mean? Dark in complexion means this lady is compared to the material intelligence. So material intelligence is covered. When it is dark means it is covered. That's why we are not able to see the Lord. So he found this. So there was a conditioned, there is a king whose name is Puranjana, who is nothing but a conditioned soul. So he decided to find a suitable place to fulfill his desires, so many desires, this conditioned soul. And he had a friend, super soul, but he doesn't know that friend very well. But he's a friend, well-wisher. He's always well-wisher. Say whichever body we goes, super soul follows. Even in the body of a dog, a hog, or whatever animal, Krishna is seated, sarvasya chaham rudisannivishto. But we don't know that friend very well. But friend is looking for us, is waiting for us to turn towards him. So he he searched the place to live in, and all over the world he looked, and then he found a city which has 9 gates. That is, this body had the 9 gates. And in that city, he also found a beautiful lady whose name was Puranjani. Who is this beautiful lady? This material intelligence. This material intelligence. So he liked this beautiful lady, and then he was very, very much attracted to this beautiful lady. So the conditioned soul is attracted to material intelligence, very much attracted to the material intelligence. Material intelligence covers us, covers us, from Krishna. So then he asks some questions to this beautiful lady, Puranjani. Who are you? Where are you coming from? Whose daughter are you? What is the purpose of you are coming here? Who are your 11 strong bodyguards? Who are the women following them? Who is the snake that is preceding you? So these questions he asked. So we know that the 11 strong bodyguards, 10 senses, and then on top of that there is mind. These are bodyguards. We have discussed the other aspects. Who are the women following them? These 10 bodyguards add many wives, which are desires actually. So he said, are you Lakshmi? Are you Bhavani? Are you Saraswati? I don't think so. So then, he proposed her. Oh, let's get engaged. Let's get, married. I like you. I like you. Just, let's get married. And, I'm very much agitated after seeing you. Oh, beautiful lady, which is material intelligence. And then Puranjani, the material intelligence, she tells that I only know this city, but I don't know, who is my family member, where I belong to, who has begotten me. I don't know the origin of me. So yeah, we don't know the origin of material intelligence, where it belongs to and all. But the material intelligence, Puranjani tells, yes, I know this city. And then let us get married, and then try and enjoy, in this city, which has 9 gates. So 9 gates we also mentioned in the past: left eye, right eye, 2 nostrils, mouth, and 2 ears, genitals, and anus. So, and in this city, there are other beings also, feet and hands, etc. And there is mind also. And with this, after getting married to this beautiful lady Puranjani, so he lives in that city. That means the conditioned soul is under the control of material intelligence, living in this body, which has got the 9 gates, and trying to fulfill the desires through various senses, which includes the mind as well. So we will read the last section from 56 to 62. Maybe Anupama Radhika Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So 1 second, let me bring up 56.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Text 56. Being thus entangled in different types of mental concoction and engaged in fruitive activities, King Puranjana came completely under the control of material intelligence and was thus cheated. Indeed, he used to fulfill all the desires of his wife, the queen. 57 to 61. When the queen drank liquor, King Puranjana also engaged in drinking. When
Just
the queen died...
1 second.
Sorry,
no, it's okay. We know who the queen is. Basically, material intelligence is the queen, yes? So, and basically we are fulfilling the desires of the queen. So material intelligence says, you take this, we take it. You go here, we go there. You sleep here, like that. You do this work. Okay, so that is queen is material intelligence, and we are the conditioned soul. Please go on.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. When the queen drank liquor, King Puranjana also engaged in drinking. When the queen dined, he used to dine with her. And when she chewed, King Puranjana used to chew along with her. When the queen sang, he also sang. Similarly, when the queen cried, he also cried. And when the queen laughed, he also laughed. When the queen talked loosely, he also talked loosely. And when the queen walked, the king walked behind her. When the queen would stand still, the king would also stand still. And when the queen would lie down in bed, he would also follow and lie down with her. When the queen sat, he would also sit. And when the queen heard something, he would follow her to hear the same thing. When the queen saw something, the king would also look at it. And when the queen smelled something, the king would follow her to smell the same thing. When the queen touched something, the king would also touch it. And when the dear queen was lamenting, the poor king also had to follow her in lamentation. In the same way, when the queen felt enjoyment, he also enjoyed. And when the queen was satisfied, the king also felt satisfied. Text 62. In this way, King Puranjana was captivated by his nice wife and was thus cheated. Indeed, he became cheated in his whole existence in the material world. Even against the poor foolish king's desire, he remained under the control of his wife, just like a pet animal that dances according to the order of its master.
So can you also read the purport, short purport of this verse here?
Yes, Prabhuji. Right. The mind is the place where the self is situated, and the mind is conducted by the intelligence. The living entity situated within the heart follows the intelligence. The intelligence is herein depicted as the queen, and the soul under mental control follows the material intelligence, just as the king follows his wife. The conclusion is that material intelligence is the cause of bondage for the living entity. The point is that one has to take spiritual intelligence to come out of this entanglement. In the life of Maharaja Ambarisa, we find that the great Maharaja first engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. In this way, his intelligence became purified. Maharaja Ambarisha also used his other senses in the service of the Lord. He engaged in his eyes in seeing the deity in the temple, nicely decorated with flowers. He engaged his sense of smell by smelling the flowers. He engaged his legs by walking to the temple. His hands were engaged in cleansing the temple, and his ears were engaged in hearing about Krishna. His tongue was engaged in two ways, in speaking about Krishna and in tasting prasada offered to the deity. Materialistic persons who are under full control of material intelligence cannot perform all these activities. Thus, consciously or unconsciously, they become entangled by the dictations of material intelligence. This fact is summarized in the following verse. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So from this verse, then that we can understand that all of you who are attending this Bhagavatam class are under the spiritual intelligence. You're using your time, you're using your senses, in Krishna's service, relating to Krishna. So here, just to sum up this chapter, while Prachetas were executing their penances by entering into that reservoir, by chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, sage Narad went to see their father, whose name is King Prachina Barhi, he was fully engaged in performing fruitive activities in order to gain some material benefit, was conducting so many sacrifices back to back. In those sacrifices, there were many animals were also killed. They are fruitive. They do not like. There is a gulf of difference between devotion and the fruitive activity, as we said. And so, seeing the pitiable condition of the king, he wanted to deliver the king. It is interesting always. A saint is required in your life. See, Prachetas Sadhu, Lord Shiva came and instructed, right? And so, as per the Lord Shiva's instruction, so they try to execute devotion by chanting that prayer. And here, King Prachina Barhi, their father, is kindly getting the association of Saint Narad. And he said, come on, what can you achieve with these fruitive activities? You're too busy. It is not going to give you the ultimate. You're not going to get the ultimate goal of the life for performing these karma kondic activities. You see, with his mystic power, he showed all the animals that were killed in the sacrifice. They were just waiting there. You see, all of them are waiting there, waiting for your death. Once you're dead, when you take a body, then they will come and pierce you. They will take the revenge. Karma is very, very subtle. And so that's why we should always be lawful in this country. Always, like, we have to be careful not to incur any unnecessary karmic reaction, not to cause any unnecessary violence or anything like that. We think nobody's seeing it. But one day in the Bhagavatam class, I described there are 13 cameras. They watch us. They'll keep the record. Record is always kept. So he realized, yes, I am unfortunately entangled in this performing in these materialistic activities. And so please guide me. Please enlighten me so that I'll come out of it. And then Narada Muni decided to tell an allegorical story. Basically, he's using King Prachina Barhi as the hero of this story. It's only Prachina Barhi is the hero of this story. It's the conditioned soul. Conditioned soul, named Puranjana, wanted to enjoy, and he roamed all over the world to find a place for fulfilling his desires. We had a friend, but he doesn't know his friend. Otherwise, his friend Super Soul would completely liberate this person. Krishna is seated in our heart and waiting for us to turn. Yes, but we are busy eating these bitter fruits. Sometimes bitter, sometimes sweet. There is analogy. On the branch of a tree, there are two birds sitting. One bird is busy eating the fruits, but the other bird is the witnessing. That is the super soul. So, and then he found a city which has 9 gates. That is this body, and in that city he also found a beautiful lady, which is material intelligence. He liked that material intelligence. This material intelligence has many aspects, but one aspect is 11 servants, 11 bodyguards they are accompanying the material intelligence. 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and there is mind as well. So upon seeing this beautiful lady Puranjani, material intelligence, he decided to marry. He got attracted. This conditioned soul attracted to the material intelligence, means polluted intelligence. He got attracted. He proposed, and she also said yes. She agreed for the king's proposal, with the king's proposal, and they got married. And so she became queen, because Puranjana is a king. So they decided to live in this body, which has 9 gates, and trying to fulfill the material desires. Prabhupada, in that purport that you have read, mentions, so the material intelligence is the cause of the bondage of this living entity. So indirectly, Narada is telling, oh king, you see, you are actually simply becoming a servant of your material intelligence. You have forgotten that actually you belong to the higher nature. You've forgotten that you are actually the servant of your true identity is forgotten. You are the servant of the Lord. And so what is need to be done? The point is that one has to take the spiritual intelligence to come out of this entanglement. Prabhupada gives a recipe. Now we have to, yes, the conditioned soul is married to this material intelligence, but we have to purify that material intelligence. How can we purify that material intelligence? Simply by engaging in the spiritual activities. Like that, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have got so many senses. So each of our sense can be engaged in serving the Lord. So Prabhupada gives in the purport, there is a king by the name Ambarish. So he engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, and in this way he purified his intelligence and various senses. Say, for example, his eyes seeing the deity form of the Lord, and nose smelling the flowers that were offered to Krishna, and hands in cleansing the temples, legs in walking to various pilgrimages. Like this, tongue, in 2 ways. Tongue can be engaged in 2 ways: eating prasadam and talking about Krishna. Simply we can also chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama, Hare Hare.
So if we do this, we can, thus we can purify this material intelligence and come out of it. So currently we are under the dictations of this material intelligence. Under the dictations of material intelligence, the conditioned soul is like a pet animal that dances according to the order of its master. So our master, we should become the master. The currently master is our mind and the material intelligence. But we should become the master. So that can only happen when we engage ourselves in devotional service. We'll stop there. This story continues. Quite a big story, quite a long story. 25th, 26th, 27th, 3 chapters. And in the 29th, he gives the explanation, full explanation. Narada Muni gives full explanation. And then in the 30th chapter, we'll come back to Acheta, what happened, and they are undergoing the penances. So after 10,000 years, what would happen? So that we would see in chapter 30th. So I will have to stop here. We will continue this story, and next week probably we'll try and do 2 chapters. So it's, I think, it is better to do this way because it's quite long, and, some of you may get bored with reading so many texts and all that thing. So I thought I would summarize in this way and read only certain sections. Okay, so we will stop there, and I can see that the devotees are happy that, so we have finished the 8 minutes early. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krupa
Thank you,
Sindhubhyo
Prabhuji.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Srimad Bhagavatam
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.